You are now listening to Carlie's Couch.
I'm Carlie.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy. Top of the morning to you, Guff. What? I'm trying to start these in new ways.
We'll get creative, right? Top of the morning to you, Carlie. Ooh, that was terrible. Let me work on my accents. Because what was that supposed to be? It's Irish, right? Top of the morning to ya.
I don't know, but Gov is British, I think. So yeah, I'm just mixing up everything.
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Hey, guys. Hope you're having a great day. We want you to remember to leave us reviews, leave us some stars. If you're too lazy to do the review, it's cool. I'm going to accept everything. Also, don't forget that you can call us. We haven't had no phone calls in a minute, so I need y'all to pick up the phone. Or you can text it, to be honest. I didn't even think about that, but low-key, you can text the number, too. I wish I knew what the number was right now, but...
it's on the website.
Yeah, it's on carliescouch.com. Sorry, I threw you through a hoop for that. But leave us a message, text us, let us know if there's anything you want to talk about. I've been personally re-binging Frasier for the last few weeks. A little known secret. For the fourth time. And so I feel like that would be kind of cool if like people left us messages just maybe saying like, hey, man, I'm kind of dealing with XYZ right now. Wish y'all's take on this. Or if you have any resources or anything cool that you just want to share, then feel free to do so.
Yeah, somebody hit us on Twitter and was like, yo, y'all mentioned a book with a horse or the cover had a horse on it. And I was like, absolutely. The Untethered Soul. So if you do read any of the books we recommend or watch any of the anime that she's recommended or any of those things, hit us and let us know. We like to hear, that stuff too.
Yeah. Today's episode is, it is centered for the women, but one thing I was thinking about, Carlie, too, is like, how can this be applicable to men? What we want to talk about today is embracing femininity and allowing ourselves to be powerful and soft. And just talking about, kind of what femininity looks like to us and what that means. And for men, though, I would say, it's still important. You want to jump in?
I was about to say, I think that this episode is just as important for the men as it is for women. We are coming at it from a women's perspective. So would love to hear the men who do listen consistently. Shout out to y'all. Y'all know who y'all are. Would love to hear your thoughts about femininity and how you embrace these things in your life, because it will look a little bit different. But I would like to hear about that. But I think the same concepts ring true.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting, too, because actually a lot of I said a lot like I have a lot of friends, but a lot of my close male friends, two popping out in my mind specifically it's very interesting that they are men who they tend to, with either their art or and how they like to portray others through, whether it's photography or film or whatever, they tend to have this ability to like take masculine images of women, but then with the men, they also have this cool way that they really can soften it up and bring out this like kind of feminine energy. And we've talked about that. They're like, yo, I feel like that's kind of my thing, where it's like, being able to show that balance of, a soft moment or a gentle moment with a male in a way where it doesn't look like, oh man, what's going on with this person? But in a way where it's like, dang, it seems like, this person kind of has their walls down or their shields down, or like, wow, this is like more of an intimate moment in this photo or in this film or whatever you're capturing. And so I think it is very interesting, to balance the two for everybody. And one thing we want to clarify with this episode for sure is that we're not talking about men versus women or, male versus female in the physiological way. But more just talking about like that energetic balance, and what that comes with when we're talking about like feminine energy.
Absolutely. And so we both had a little bit different inspirations for this, but very synchronistically, shout out to one of my favorite words. It came that both of us were thinking through it in different ways in our lives. Like, Lexi, what kind of was your epiphany around feminine energy and femininity?
Well, in January, I wrote this down in my journal, and then I later came back to it to review for this episode. But I'd come across a woman's tweet on Twitter, and she was saying something to the effect of, wow, I'm really glad I've been tapping into my feminine energy lately, or back into it. And I've been feeling really, a little bit more powerful. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting to even think about as a woman, you having to tap into your feminine energy, or as a woman feeling like that's still kind of I don't want to say a skill, but like a space that you can grow in or improve or expand. And then within that, I think it must have been probably threaded. She threaded some videos. She's like, I've really been getting into these videos, and, they've been helping me a lot. So in this time, I feel like I was probably kind of having some questions about like, man, like I don't feel like I'm, all the way allowing myself to receive from life or benefit. And I feel like, in certain spaces, I kind of feel like I'm pushing things away, but it's like, what is that about? And so I tapped on one of the videos, and the name of it was called Feminine Rehab. I forgot the lady's name who was doing them, but, I wasn't all the way sold on it. So, don't be like, oh, Lexi sent me here, because I only skimmed through like a video. But just the topic of it was interesting, in that, I tapped on the video, and the lady, her kind of intro was like, women, we've grown to be, so hard sometimes, or to feel like it's, we need to be independent, and, not depend on people, and not ask for help. And, in order to kind of move forward in this world and in this society, kind of taking on more masculine type energy towards things. And or maybe you can find yourself, and I've been this person in the past, kind of hating on like the women who are like, they present themselves more like, yeah, I'm a bad bitch. Like, I'm looking cute. I'm beautiful. I want to be taken care of, like, which is fine. And so kind of taking a step back to be like, hey, like, that's okay. And there are things that you have to gain by tapping more into that space. And there's ways that you can still be softer, and that you can still kind of tap into a feminine energy to move forward in all of those spaces. So I was looking at it. One of the things that she was talking about, she's like, while it may be difficult to step into that kind of space to create an alter ego. And so I thought back about Preston for the 1,000th time, and his
shout out to Hero P.
Yeah, Superhero P. And I remember doing that, where I kind of wrote down, I was like, all right, let me revisit, actually creating an alter ego, because ever since that episode 2 years ago, I've been like, all right, I've wanted to do it, but I hadn't sat down and did it. And so I really kind of tried to think about all the things that this alter ego can be. And now also with this lens of, really being feminine as well. Like, this woman wakes up and does her skin routine, and like, you know what I mean? Like, even those types of things where I'm over here looking like frazzled half the time, and gets her nails done every 2 weeks, and like really like gets it popping, outside of all these other things that also can be relevant. And so that was kind of my experience when I thought about this, and was like, what, we should have an episode around kind of like tapping into that feminine energy and like what that means for us.
I love that so much. And I think that femininity and allowing ourselves to be both powerful and soft, to be very direct, but also very receptive, and just these seemingly polar opposite things that all of us encompass every single day, and seeing which ones we lean into. Like, a few of my friends and I talk about it all the time, like how we can be, bosses in these spaces and then still be very soft and things at home. And in the work that I do around mindfulness and yoga, there's a lot of talk about the feminine and masculine energy and learning how to balance both and get into your bodies. And then I've read things like The Queen's Code, which is a book, like an ebook that, like, I don't know, it's about a story, but helping women get more in touch with their feminine energy and relationships specifically, and thinking about what that looks like. And then also, in my journey with self-love, like thinking about how we can be softer with ourselves and allowing ourselves to have more grace and more space. And so this juxtaposition of, can we be all the things, and how do we balance all of it, is, I think, such a timely discussion. And I'm really excited to talk about it, because I think there's so much that I can learn and continue to grow, in a lot of spaces where I can get softer myself, because I'm a tomboy. And y'all know I live in athleisure. I'm working on that, but that's also part of my job. So I try to be nice to myself.
You do. Yeah, but you have been switching it up over time. And so one of the things I would ask you is that, over time, over the last maybe year or so, that you've gone from, all you wore was yoga clothes to now you've started wearing more dresses and more different things. How does that feel? Like, what did that look like?
It feels so good. It's so funny because I remember one time I was leaving a meeting and I didn't have time to change before I went to the gym. And I'm just wearing a regular dress. It's not even a flowy dress. It was just a black dress and some cute shoes. And all my clients were like, oh my God, who is this? And I was like, y'all, I'm just wearing regular people clothes. And they're like, we know, but you don't ever wear non-workout clothes. And so I feel more expressive. I feel more creative. I feel a lot softer and a lot more sexy. So I've been having fun with that and actually trying things in fashion, like using that to express how I'm feeling and to play up certain things and allowing myself to show off some of the stuff that I actually work for, physically. And it feels really nice.
Do you feel like now that you started kind of expressing your femininity in your dress a little more, do you feel like you've uncovered anything that you were kind of trying to hide from or like push away before? I don't know if that was super clear, but
yeah. And I think you can steer me back if you hear me veering off. But I think I've had an interesting relationship with my body and body acceptance in general for a long time. But the more I accept myself, the more comfortable I am wearing whatever I want to wear and not thinking about how it's going to be perceived or what someone's going to say, because it's more for me and less for other people. And I think that's been the biggest shift. But I definitely think in dressing, I could have been hiding some things, like hiding some insecurities or shying away from things. But also I feel really strong and powerful in workout clothes because I know I work out. I know I'm strong. I know I have muscles. But now I can also feel that way in other things too. And it's okay to feel both strong and beautiful in spaces.
And I think it's cool too because, man, those days that you really like get dressed up and not even necessarily maybe like in a like traditionally feminine way, like not even with a dress per se, but those days you like actually make sure your makeup's straight and you feel like you put effort into yourself. I feel like you do feel a little bit more powerful, like when you're moving around, like you look good and you can see people look at you, and there is a little something to that I think kind of adds to your day and like adds to your mindset that day when you're like moving around. But with me, one thing that I kind of realized, or maybe I already knew all of this, but it kind of came together with thinking about feminine energy. It's like, man, I've really kind of grown up like pretty hardened. Like as a woman, I when I was in elementary school, I don't know if I've talked about this in public for real, but when I was in elementary school, literally from like kindergarten through 5th grade, like I literally remember like every day, like I used to be touched on. And I didn't tell anybody, like I didn't tell my parents, but these are like other boys. It was like this group of guys. And then for some reason, they just all happened to be in my damn class in like 4th grade. So it's like literally every day I would go to school. And, this is still when you had to like get in lines to go everywhere, and the fountain and the playground and all these things. And I used to always like literally move my self and my day around to like try not to be like in front of them in line because they were going to touch my butt and like try to jump on me and mess with me. And this is during a time where I would end up like fighting. I was always like fighting on guys. This was when I told y'all about how I threw the guy out the window. So like this is that time. I became very competitive. So like we used to always race like during the playground. Like I used to have guys be like, okay, I get to race you today. And I'm like, all right. And I would dust the niggas every time. But in that time period, I think that's had a lot of impact on how I view myself as like, all right, I got to be a fighter and hard and take care of myself. And like I also like totally was not boy crazy because of all that. And I was like, ugh, like I'm good on y'all. So anyway, in all this time, and then as an attractive woman in my life, like, you get a lot of attention, but I feel like I kind of equated stepping into that and being soft and, letting guys be like, oh, let me do this for you, let me do that for you, is kind of weak. And so now I think about, man, how much stuff have I kind of like missed out on, and not even necessarily in the past, but even now it's like, yo, what am I missing out on by, not allowing a guy to do that for me? Like even with when I started dating the guy that I'm with now, I remember feeling really uncomfortable when you like talk about like going to places or, doing things. And it's like, but I came into it this time because I was like, oh, I want to do something different. I came into this time being like, all right, I'm trying to let, somebody like do the things they want to do. And so I've been doing a pretty decent job of it now. But in the past, like there's so many times where it's like I would not want, somebody flying me out. I would not want somebody to to do things. And we talked about this in a previous episode where it's like, yo, I don't feel like I owe you anything, or, I want to only do things that I could do for myself, or that I could take care of, or that I would take care of, because sometimes I can't, but I'm not about to. And so all of that kind of just made me feel like, you know what is this piece that I'm not doing or not tapping into? And I really felt like it's, just allowing myself to kind of stand back, like not be so guarded and not have to feel so like masculine energy towards everything, but to just like let loose a little bit.
And man, that brought up so many things that I was like, oh man, that, because I'm definitely the kid who was fighting boys in school, getting swats, like, but super competitive, all those things. But I think society is set up in a way where they don't celebrate femininity. It's looked down upon. Like, you throw like a girl, or
you're emotional.
Yeah, exactly. Like emotional, like it's a bad thing, or you're a pussy. Like all these things that people say is like to down on women. And, we've been reclaiming it, and like,
it's crazy because we're literally so much stronger.
Bro, women are the greatest things.
We're so much smarter. I'm sorry, guys, but we're so much smarter. Like, our leadership is better because we have a little more balance, because we're more socialized to care about people and nurture and all these things.
Women, y'all the real MVPs. Shout out to y'all. Like, women have literally been the backbone of my life.
I could foresee too, like, I don't know how far into the future, but as the energies kind of are more acceptably like balanced by everybody, that I think that's kind of what makes the world a better place, because then maybe we wouldn't be so socialized in certain ways. So, to say like, oh, men are trash and all this stuff now, like, yeah, that is legit. But it's not because you're a man. I think it's because of all these systems that perhaps, will start to even out a little more.
100%. And I think it's starting to get there, but we're not celebrated to celebrate our femininity. It's actually very shunned upon. And so we find ourselves hiding our bodies because sexual trauma is real. People touching and doing different things, or people talking about us. Even with me, I used to post yoga poses and stuff all the time. To be honest, I got fucking tired of people saying sexual stuff to me because of it. Like, literally, dude was like, yo, if I fly you out, you gonna do that position for me? Like, fuck you, bro. Like, get out of my DMs. Like, you raggedy sucker. Like, I'm so mad. Like, I just got angry thinking about it. But then, one of my friends who I think is an embodiment of feminine energy, one of my friends, Anna, she like made this whole post. She's also a yoga instructor, made this whole post about how I don't care what you do, or what your responses are. These are my poses. This is my body. I own my sexuality. I own it. And so from then on, I've been kind of more empowered to be like, man, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want. Yeah. And it's okay.
Yeah. And same like when you, getting on Instagram, and when you see the accounts where, all you see is like selfies every day, or makeup, or, they're just being a bad bitch, like chilling. And it's like, high key, it's like, damn, I don't need to be hating on that. Like, y'all do what y'all do, because I wish I knew how to get my shit together like that, because I don't. But yeah, it's like, looking at it from the space of, don't worry about people's motivations or intentions or what they're doing. But, that's kind of cool to be in that space of, I'm a beautiful woman, and like, pat out, and, I'm doing this for me. I don't care what y'all talking about. So whatever that looks like for you, I'm sure for all the women listening, there's probably in some way that you can look at the areas in your life and think about like where it's like, yeah, I kind of pushed that to the side a little bit in this space or that space. And, maybe ask yourself why, and then how you can kind of switch that up. So why is it important to embrace kind of that femininity or that feminine nature?
We were just talking about an imbalance, and I think that when we're pushing so hard and always trying to make things happen, you're never giving yourself a chance to let things happen. And so I'm comparing and contrasting what I am saying is like masculine and feminine energy. Like, sometimes we just got to let things come to us. We got to be open to receiving instead of always giving, always doing the nurturing. So creating a more balanced life, you can never lose whenever you're being yourself. And I think that embracing your femininity allows you to do that.
Yeah. And when you're not embracing it, you're kind of just wearing a mask. So we also kind of talk about what spaces do you feel yourself leaning more masculine or feminine. For me, I would definitely say in workspaces, because I feel like I have to kind of come across a little more assertive, and in doing so, I feel like that trickles off into other spaces, because of like kind of the stories I was saying earlier, and because I've never really been like really guy crazy. Like, it comes across in like my relationships, like where although in my relationships, romantic relationships, tends to be where I get the softest, because I recognize like, yo, I love to be like just submissive and like take care of me. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's one of those things. It's like you try to deny it to yourself, but also it's like, no, this is great, you know? And I'll be more softer and I'm like, yes, baby. And like being nice and like I'm cleaning and shit. And I'm like, damn, I don't be doing this in my own house. But all of a sudden here I am. And it feels fine because you're in a trusted kind of safer space with somebody. And so, you know, just like we always see on Twitter every other day, it's like, you know, you're going to submit to the person you feel cool with. And again, like I don't want to make femininity look like it has to be submissive, which it doesn't. But again, it's nice to just be like chill and you feel comfortable and, you know, you just fall into this particular space sometimes where that's okay to do those things because you feel safe in it.
Yeah, I think work is a place that I've always been masculine. I used to be in construction. I would be the only woman in the room 95% of the time. And you just can't, or I just felt like I couldn't, you know, show any type of what I deemed as weakness. Like we talked about like emotions or things like that, because then they're going to pick you apart. Or I can't come across as too sexy because then who you trying to, you know, be sexy for? Like all these things. So, you know, we kind of get put in a box. I would also say that my relationships, romantic relationships, are where I can be the softest because I am definitely that person. I am a grandmama. Like I'm trying to cook and clean and spend time and cuddle and do all that stuff. And I just have been challenging myself, like Lexi talked about, you know, to receive and just to allow people to do things or to shower me with love and support and affection or whatever, just, you know, allowing, giving that space. And so I think that it's important to embrace femininity because it allows you to learn yourself and learn to love yourself.
And learn what you really need and actually really want. Like I said, like I feel like I denied a lot of stuff. Like some of this stuff is new for me now. Like I've never been a cuddler. And I've never, like, I just haven't been like super soft in a lot of ways, like even in relationships. And so, you know, I actually am really like approaching things to try to do it a little different and to let that happen. And then recognize like, oh, I do want that. Like, oh, that would be nice if I was getting gifts and like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, where before I'd be like, no, I don't want you to do that. And so now it's like, all right, I really can feel more myself, or like I'm not trying to like push things away. Like we talked about that whole cycle of abundance with receiving and giving last week. And so it's important, like, or well, 2 weeks ago. So it's important to like really be yourself and recognize what you need, and then, you know, allowing yourself to receive that.
And so embracing it helps you take off that mask and figure out really, you know, what that is, allowing you to learn to love that and to explore that. And if you don't like it, you can change it. But if you always live your life a certain way based on, you know, how other people treated you or how you're socialized, like you never really get to experience who you are and how great that can actually feel.
But also when it comes to like embracing our femininity, like I remember my DC days, I got way more into like wearing my tailor suits and things like that, but to me, I always had a little bit of like feminine energy with it, like with my pencil skirt or like the way I just like put it together. So I feel like there is a balance to it. So we're not saying like you gotta go switch up your whole style and any of that. I feel like there's a balance to it. But to me, in the workspace, sometimes in the workspace, having a little bit more masculine energy feels more natural, but not in the space with like friends, relationships, and places where I'm like, you know what, I feel like I'm too like conflict based, or there's a better word for that. But like, you know, I would like to feel more agreeable, feel less like combative. I think that's what it is. And it's like things that I think maybe they only work in the workspace because that's just, like we said, kind of the male dominated, you know, type of space sometimes. But and another thing to that also is I've found myself in the past where it's like, you can feel good being like, oh, I'm the only woman in here. And like, you know, now you feel like you have to be even more, you know, in that other space than to be feminine, because you want to make sure that, you know, you can play with the big dogs as well, or whatever that looks like. But it feels more natural, I think, to be softer, and it feels more productive to relationships in general to not come across so combative, of course.
Yeah, and I think there's a way to do it all. Like you can still be direct without being abrasive. You can still, you know, state your mind without raising your voice and things. And I think mentors, like it's great having older women in your life because you can learn a lot from them. And my own mentor, like she always held herself with such a graceful, powerful, feminine presence. But she definitely dominated every workroom she was in, but she did it in such a way that was still so graceful. And I'm like, man, I hope I can learn that, one day, to be able to just say a thing one time and just say it, and then it's done and it's handled, and you don't feel like you have to, yell and do all these things. And I think that that's part of the learning process of owning that feminine power and finding the balance in being direct.
Yeah, because kind of like what you were saying earlier, on the days that you do go in and like, really do your makeup, really get dressed, it feels like you're like putting on a different type of superhero costume. Like it does feel like you're kind of powering up, like, damn, I look good today. And so for me, that's one of the main ways to tap into my feminine energy is by having particular routines. So like when I really started getting into having like a skincare routine, when I'm taking care of my hair, when I'm taking care of my appearances in a certain way, to me, I feel like I'm nurturing like that side, and like I'm really like making sure I look presentable in a way that makes me feel strong, because it's like that strong because I'm beautiful and together. I feel like that goes together. What are some other ways you can tap into feminine energy?
So I think you hit one of the most important ones, is like feeling good. So smelling good, looking good, whatever that is for you. Y'all wouldn't know it by how I'm dressing now, but like my modes are either like athleisure and sundresses or dress to the nines, either in a ball gown or in a suit. And I love both of them. And I think there's something so powerful. Another one for me is getting into my body. And what I mean when I say that is like dancing, doing yoga, stretching, like massaging, like taking time to move a little bit slower when I'm putting my body butter on, or when I am doing my gua sha and my little facial roller thing, like just taking time to get in my body and moving, because there's just something so powerful about feeling like you can own your presence and owning your body.
Yeah, and then like we said before too, just in your relationships, I think tapping into my feminine energy is when I don't try to stop the receiving of something, or if I'm like, all right, sure, let's do that, or just going with the flow a little bit more with that. Also, in maybe like a step down from that, in just simply like even with friends or like family, and just simply like not being combative and just like going more with the flow of things, and not feeling like I'm trying to make all the decisions, I guess. It's almost like giving my mind a rest too. Like, yo, you don't have to be in charge all the time. You don't have to be in charge everywhere. And so I think that taking like a seat, or a back seat rather, sometimes in different spaces is like, it feels like a little bit more I'm tapping into my feminine energy, because maybe I'm here to y'all, I'm here for y'all to look at me. I'm not here to be in charge right now. Like, y'all cater to me. And so maybe that's more of it. Not just like, oh, I don't want to make decisions, but like, y'all take care of it.
And giving people a chance to handle things, like not always being the first to act, like leaving space for that flow and for other people to reach out or to plan or to do things. Like, I think there is a pressure to always be the person in charge and to doing things. And so releasing that control and letting things flow. And then another one I think is important is leaving space for creation. Like, that is a very feminine power, is creating. And so if that's doing art, if that's playing music, if that's cooking, if that's, whatever that looks like for you. For me, it's all of those things and more. But whatever that looks like, just giving yourself space to create things.
And then I mentioned it at the beginning, but one thing you can do to tap into your feminine energy is to create an alter ego or a persona. So like I said, I really, wrote down like, oh, how this woman takes care of herself, how this woman walks into the room, how this woman takes care of, everything from work and family and relationships. And so to create that and give that person a name may help you to, be like, step into your Sasha Fierce moment now, to where you're really like, who runs the world? Like, you're really in that mode. And that's something that's easier, I think, sometimes to tap into when you are like cosplaying it. And then that kind of becomes like, well, that is who you are if you're cosplaying it and you're running it around and in that space. So that's something to try too.
And I love that you went that connected that to Hero P and this alter ego, because we always talk about, if you want to be in a certain place, act like you're already there. Like, live your life in that way. What does that person do? What do they eat? What do they drink? How do they move? What do they think? How do they invest their time? One that I thought of whenever you were talking is slowing down. not always rushing or feeling like you have to talk or say the next thing or do the next thing like that. No, just chill. Allow yourself to just kind of be.
Yeah. I think at the end of this, and then, you know, you can kind of give your summary of like what you kind of get out of this conversation. But for me, it sounds like, and it feels like, by not tapping more into your feminine energy or not making sure that's really kind of more balanced to show and reflect who you really are, you're cutting off a lot of potential blessings or opportunities or things from your life, or opportunities just to receive. So for me, like, that was really kind of what got me intrigued in the first place to look into that. Like, yo, I'm being so hard. I'm like not letting anything in, kind of. And so for me, I kind of connected those two ideas that, you know, to step more into my feminine nature and, you know, be a woman and a beautiful woman and smart and intelligent, and you can be a leader and be that and not have to be like, you know, so hard all the time.
Yeah, you want to get to know yourself. You want to, I think Lexi mentioned it on the Receiving podcast, like, why make things harder for you? If you can soften and allow things to flow in, whatever it is, like, why not try that?
Mm-hmm. Let them take you to dinner, sis. But don't be getting flown out if you don't got the bread to get back, though. That's all I'm going to say about that. Like, so that what we are not saying is to do things that you can't do yourself. So, and that might be stepping in your femininity, is getting your finances in control, getting this into place, getting your body into place. Like, you know, so it's about you. Let's make sure that we're clear that this ain't about, you know, you being something for anybody but yourself. It's
always about you. You deserve it. You deserve to be loved on and feel sexy and all those things, men and women. So treat yourselves with things you can afford and things that, you know, feel good to you, but take the time. Like, you're totally worth it. Like, what's the point in living life if you don't ever like have the pleasure and enjoy it? Mm-hmm.
And so, speaking of awesome women and femininity, this week's shout out for this episode, I would like to shout out Yvonne, who has the brand Zoezi Sport. And I think it's Zoezi. If I'm saying it wrong, blame Damo, because I know he be saying everything. But that's how I be hearing him say it. But their IG page is Zoezi Sport, ZoeziSport. And I actually have on one of the shirts today. But I was the other day, I was like, damn, let me re-up on some gym clothes, because I recognize with 2020 and all that, I'm like, yo, I have not bought stuff in like 2 years right now. So I needed like some new gym stuff, and I was on Nike, and then I was like, oh shoot, I remember Yvonne has her own brand. And so I went to her site, and it was fire. Like, she has lots of stuff. So I got like the new color sports bra and some shorts. I got 2 black workout pants and one black sports bra to go with those. And then she just happened to throw this shirt in there, which this is like my favorite thing. And I got a t-shirt as well. I wanted to get the hoodie, but the hoodie was sold out. But what I really liked about this, though, because I tried everything on, is like the fabric feels so good. It's like, and for like the sports bra and stuff, it's like the fabric was real soft, but it was also, you know, that kind of like dry fish kind of material, but it was really like soft, felt really good. I feel really like sexy in it. And I was like, man, this is great. So thank you also for throwing in the extra shirt, because now I'm like, oh, I want to get some more stuff. But I would encourage anybody, especially if you're want to focus on shopping black. And because, let me tell you about this also, because of the customer service, that I placed an order, got an email in like 30 minutes that it was getting put together, and then I literally had my back package the next day. So, and I know she's based in LA. But yeah, I was like, dang, I had myself the next day. And so now I'm ready to go to the gym. So check her out. Check out Zoezi Sport, and see if there's anything there next time before you go to Nike or Adidas or whatever else. Check it out. It was really good quality.
Yeah, I need to re-up, so I'm gonna go ahead and check that out. I know she walked in, I was like, oh, I like that shirt.
Yeah, no, I really like this stuff. So I wish I had a couple more things. And this week's question of the week is basically, you know, based off of our discussion that we've been having, is where can you be more soft this week? I'm trying to think of something kind of specific.
I was thinking about this, and I was like, in work, and being a trainer and being a yoga teacher is a lot more feminine energy when you're doing things. But I was like, I wonder if I can try to bring in feminine energy when I'm doing the personal training and doing the more high intensity classes, and seeing what that would look like. Like, it's still gonna be a good class. You're still gonna
sweat. Yelling at people and stuff, or
I don't yell. That's not my thing. But I'm intense. I'm a very intense trainer.
Get on the floor.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I want to see what that could look like to try that in such a masculine dominated industry, which I guess I tend to choose those for whatever reason. Shout out to me, entrepreneurship, that construction. But I want to see what that can look like. And so I'll report back to y'all via IG and let y'all know on Carlie's Couch kind of what that looks like. But I have some classes tomorrow, so I'll have some stuff up for y'all. Well, actually, next week.
For me, I think this week what I want to refocus back on is like my skincare routine. So like actually make sure I take care of my face in the morning and in the evening, because I've been just like, most of the time I at least wipe off my mascara or whatever, but I just be like, all right, and then lay down. I actually ran out of a couple of my things. I used to have like my whole 7 steps, and I ran out of a few, so I don't even really do it all the way. And I just want to do that. Like when I set time, and this goes back to my boundaries, like when I really set my time to like focus on me, and like that's when I always feel really good, like when I wash my face and like, really put my serums on and all of that. So that's what I'm going to try to refocus back in on this week, like make sure I wake up with time to do those things and take care of myself. As well as shout out Daria, I'm hit D Lolo with the little cash and be like, yo, I need to get my fits back up. Outside kind of opening up. I got my first vaccine. Hey. So it's like I'm about to be out here. So I need to also make sure I have clothes that fit me again. So, just getting a little dressier.
And I want to add something else. So one of my yoga teachers from my yoga teacher training has this like functional body course. And so I've started that. And so I'm going to make a commitment to do that at least 3 times this week, because I've been feeling really disconnected from my body just because I had some health stuff happen. So I couldn't work out and couldn't move at the beginning of the year. And so I'm feeling kind of like, And so I want to do things to get back into my body. So I'm going to do that this week. That's and good. Not just working out, but like moving.
Yeah, so let us know. How are you going to be a little softer this week? How are you going to tap into your feminine energy? Let us know. Let us know what you think about the episode, and we will chat with you next week. Peace.